Dance analysis 3. Stand up. What mood are you aiming to create? Describe the skills you use to create this mood. In stand up, the mood changes. So at the beginning of stand up, we're trying to create a sort of tense atmosphere because obviously Rita's giving the speech and we don't know whether we're going to get equal pay or not. So in order to create a tense atmosphere, we have quite serious looks on our faces. So quite stern looks. We keep our gestures really, really tense, so we're not relaxed. Quite fidgety, so maybe like flicking our fingers or tapping our feet so that we're quite fidgety, playing with our hair, that kind of thing. So we're really uptight because we're quite, nervous. And then when we find out we're getting equal pay, we are creating a happy atmosphere because we're happy that we've got equal pay. So at that point, we're then smiling, hugging each other, shaking hands, clapping, and letting go a lot more, and being more excitable. Were you successful in creating the atmosphere for this scene? Yes, I feel that as an ensemble and as an individual, I was very successful in creating the right atmosphere for this scene. By using particular gestures and facial expressions in order to express both tension and anxiety and also happiness more towards the end. What do you need to do to improve your contribution to this mood? I feel I could improve by looking at my interaction with other people. For example, when we're waiting for Rita to give her speech, I feel I could interact with Harold a lot more, or maybe react a lot more to what's happening on stage. So, for example, when the boys come on, I could react to that a lot more than I do. And also, when we find out that we're getting equal pay, I could hug more people and again interact with people a lot more than I am doing. What message does the song send to the audience? How do you enhance the message within the dance? What skill do you use to share this message with the audience? What could you do to improve your contribution to this message? So the message that we send to the audience is, again, relating to real life and what happened with the Ford strikes for equal pay in the 1960s in Dagenham. And the tension within society of not knowing whether we were going to get equal pay or not. And some of the audience might be able to relate to this moment because perhaps they were watching it on television, or perhaps they were there when the strike was happening and when we were finding out if we were getting equal pay. So it's got to be relatable to the audience, and also to sort of teach the audience about how it was. So we get this message to the audience by, personally what I did for Barbara Castle is I researched Barbara Castle in meetings and Barbara Castle at events, looked at photos of how she would sit, the expressions that she had on her face, so that I could look at my movement, my gestures, my facial expressions, and make them representable to pictures I've seen of Barbara, so that the audience can really recognise who I am and recognise me as Barbara Castle. Again, I feel I could improve my contribution to the message by interacting more with other characters on stage at this point. Where does the dance take place? Describe how you show this in the dance. Describe how this affects your movement. The dance takes place at the TUC at the TUC speech, so conference, and we show this through how we have our stage set out. So we do have a TUC podium for Rita to stand on, and we also have 4 chairs behind the podium where Harold, Barbara and 2 other people sit, and we sit there, quite formally, so again, very tense, looking very smart, wearing very smart clothes. So it shows that it's quite a formal environment. And everybody's wearing sort of suits and fancy dresses. Describe how your character feels within the scene. How do you show this in your movement? For example, how does this affect your facial expressions and dynamics of the movement? At the beginning of stand-up, my character is quite anxious. She has met Rita, and she does want Rita to get equal pay. Barbara very much backs the strike. She wants equal pay as much as the other girls want it, and so she is quite tense and quite anxious for Rita, and I show this by not relaxing. So I don't sit back in my chair. I'm always sat at the very edge of my chair, fidgeting. I might be tapping my foot or playing with my hair. I've got a very stern look on my face, so sort of frowning my eyebrows in a little bit, agreeing with what Rita said, so always nodding along with her as if I'm trying to show that I'm on her side. And then when Rita does get equal pay, I'm very happy. So I show this by hugging people, and then towards the end when we are clapping, I've lots of smiling and letting loose a lot more, so clapping along a lot, as if we've sort of partying, as if we really have just got equal pay, and my character's very happy. So you don't see my character smiling a lot throughout the show, and so I really do put on a big smile at this moment to show that what's happening is a big deal to Barbara. Describe 3 points in your dance which are good and explain why they are effective. I feel that my posture towards the start of stand-up is good. So when I'm sitting on the edge of my chair and when I'm quite fidgety, it shows that I'm really nervous for Rita, and I think it shows that it's almost that I wish I was the one that was up there and fighting, but because of the job title that Barbara has, she can't do that really, because she has to, balance the trade figures and things. So I feel like that's really effective in showing that Barbara, is backing Rita 100%. Another area I think is good is when Barbara stands up and joins in with everybody singing as if she's joining the strike. Like she just can't sit down anymore. She has to get up and join in. This is the first section where I really let loose. So I go from being very tense to just thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to let go. And I get up and I start smiling, and I'm not tense anymore in my shoulders. I'm really relaxed and I'm fighting with Rita. And the next bit that I think is really effective and good is at the end, just after I've done my final speech about Emmeline Pankhurst. I come back with the ensemble and I'm smiling and clapping and step digging, and I've really let go. And this is the first time that you really see my character let loose and have fun, smiling, interacting with everyone else, clapping along and dancing. It's the first time you see my character do this. So for me, that's a really effective point. Target 3 areas of the dance which need improving. For example, timing, facial expressions and dynamics. List and describe these moments you need to work on and film yourself improving these areas. One timing. So in the step digs and the claps at the end of stand up, sometimes I get my timing a little bit wrong. So I need to film me doing it and make sure that I practice at home and get my timing right. Looking in the mirrors as well when we're rehearsing will help, because it can help me to get my timing right with everyone else. Interacting with more people, more characters on stage is a definite area for improvement for me. I need to make sure that I'm interacting with Harold and with the other characters a lot more in stand up. And gestures, I feel I use a lot of gestures for Barbara, but in stand up I feel I could use a lot more gestures, particularly towards the end, to show that I'm happy and that I'm celebrating and that I've let loose a lot more. Maybe I could dance around a lot more to to show that I'm celebrating.